Oh, I don't know whether he got rid of the ignorance or not, but anyhow. So, uh, Panchadashi, Panchadashi, oh, one of the greatest texts by a great master almost 1500 years ago, more than something around that. Panchadashi means five chapters on existence. So he explains everything what is existence, five chapters on consciousness, and five chapters on permanent state of the happiness. He doesn't beat about, doesn't go here and there. He doesn't explain about anything about the god and goddesses, doesn't talk about the rituals. He says knowledge alone is enough. So, knowledge alone is enough means that knowledge is consciousness and consciousness is knowledge. So, we are still in the first chapter, and these first chapter, every verse is so deep. And if we are a seeker, no, why you say that if I'm a seeker? So that you have to prove yourself you are a seeker or not. Well, I have to say nothing. Do you keep smiling 24 by 7? No, because I have a lot of problems, so you are not a seeker. No, why should I say? You should prove that you are a seeker. So I explain these verses in a different way. Today we will talk about the five traits, five attributes of consciousness. You remember and you change. No, you will change because you are a seeker. No issue. You are a seeker. First thing to understand, the natural state comes from the essential nature. It does not come from what is constantly changing. Life is a manifestation of consciousness. Now, today we are talking of the principle, and we'll go back again for easy understanding. I have yet to explain the next verse, so I'm laying a foundation. So, the topic is that if we become aware of the five attributes of the consciousness, we are there. You know what I'm talking about. Where? You know it. So, essential nature, like life and living. Life is a manifestation of consciousness. It is constant, but living is constantly changing. And the living is affected by the body, breath, brain, mind, intellect, thought, etc., etc. So that category belongs to the false. I'm talking in time for an hour. You see that only hour. I believe no one feels bored. Huh? So what is changing? What is changing is not me. So living is a change and I'm not. Let us come to the topic. Is anyone thoughtless? Since we wake up in the morning until we go into deep sleep, thought is there. I'm happy, I'm unhappy. Huh? I am stressed, I'm relaxed. Oh, Christina was just talking. She is trying to balance between the stress and peace. How can you balance? Come on, Christina, you have to go deeper. She is a good girl. You see that? Is anyone thoughtless? Answer is no. No one is stranger to thought. Clear? Then what is the thought? If you are not stranger to a thought. It is so dear, it is so close to your heart, your head, your mind, your social relationship. But then what is the thought? I'm Christina, I'm David, I'm Girish. Oh, this is also a thought. But what is thought? Without any object, there cannot be any thought. Cat, dog, lion, stress, they are all the objects. You know, the moment I say, I'm in stress, stress is a thought. Oh, it gives you a clue. Without object, there cannot be any thought. Without conscious, I cannot recognize any thought. Are you getting it? We're going a little deeper. Without consciousness, there cannot be any thought. I cannot recognize any thought without being conscious. Do you recognize any thought in deep sleep? That I became Bill Gates, leave that Bill, Otherwise you will say why you are after him. There cannot be any thought without an object. Thought plus I, that is consciousness, is equal to thought. Now object plus consciousness, that consciousness is I. Object, any object. Stress plus I, thought, I am stressed. Pleasure plus I. Crazy plus I. Complete the sentence. Remove that object, what is left? There is no thought, there is no object. We are pure consciousness. This is what this master is talking about. Removing means disown that this belongs to me. This is me. You are left with the pure consciousness. That cannot be negated. Are you getting it? Yes. Say yes, please, here. That I'm getting it. Yeah. So with that background, you see many objects, many thoughts, many experiences. Many thoughts, so many objects, so many experiences. Consciousness is only one. I have many experiences or variety of experiences due to objects, not due to consciousness. Think of it. Here and now. Now I will think later. No, that will not work. Live from moment to moment. What I said, many experiences comes out of many thoughts. Many thoughts means many objects, but consciousness is one. Go a little deeper. Experiences are internal, objects are outside. Objects are different so that we have many experiences. Thoughts are many. Now, objects are many, so thoughts are many. Consciousness is only one. Second point. Can I make it simple? Objects and experiences and thoughts are many, but the experiencer, the knower, the seer is one, and that is consciousness, and we are that consciousness. Now, how can I reject I am the body? Are you really the body? No, I'm my mind. I'm really the mind. Big question. So let us examine a little deeper. Awareness, knowledge, and experience, they are synonyms. So in every thought, in every expression, in every experience, we find two things. One is changing, other is not changing. The one that is not changing is consciousness. I am stressed. I is constant. I am happy. I is still there. I don't like you. I is still there. I hate you. I is still there. But the moment that I becomes the body, that I becomes the mind, you are attached, you are gone, you enter into ignorance. Only that needs to be understood. What is understanding? It's a clarity. Where the clarity comes? In the intellect. What is intellect? Intellect is nothing but knowledge. No, I will practice. No, there is no practice required. There is no practice required. Yes. Do you know my name? What practice you need to know my name? What practice you need? What is going on now? Do you need to practice to know what is going on? So the next point, to contemplate and reflect, to go deeper. Every perception, which is the knowledge, appears one, but has two parts. Why it appears one? We mix up. Who mixes up? The mind. Why the mind makes up? The mind makes up in ignorance. Do I know the mouse? Yes, I know the mouse is an object. Is mouse me? No. Okay, do I know the body? Yes. The body? Yes. You are wrong. You enter into falsehood. I know this is mouse. I am different from mouse. Here is a donkey. I know donkey. That donkey is body. You complete. You start thinking it. Are you getting it? Anytime we perceive, we have trained our mind with our behavior and attitude that this mind says mix up. Perception appears one, but it has always two parts. Now I have a camera light. It has two parts. One is the light Second is the electricity. What is real, what is the ultimate cause is always hidden. Consciousness is always hidden. Body manifests, mind manifests, thought manifests, object is there. So when I say I am in stress or I am stressed, you can never be in stress. The hidden part is consciousness. I is consciousness. And the consciousness cannot be stressed. You have mixed up the two, and that's why you are suffering. So when we perceive the knower and the known, the subject and the object, clearly, the ignorance drops. We are in the knowledge. Knowledge is consciousness. We have reached there. We get carried away by the mind. Because the mind lives in ignorance. Mind is crazy. I am not. Mind is in stress. I am not. Are you understanding? Because I identify myself that I am the mind. So hence, all the experiences now is me. It only demands an extraordinary awareness, a contemplation and reflection. You are a seeker and you are there. Don't try to remove the thought from the mind. Not try, but become aware of the object in that thought. And recognize that that object is not me. Once you are not an object, that thought is also not me. And what is left is consciousness. I will do the practice. No, practice will not work. There is no practice. I told you. Do you know my name? So you will say, no, I will practice for about a week to know your name. Then I'll come back. I'll tell you. I will do the practice of looking at you, then I will come back. It's a non-practice. Thoughts come and go. The object in the mind appear and disappear. Objects come and go. Thoughts come and go. We hold on to the thought. So the problem begins. You insulted me, you appreciated me. Long list. You have, I think you have already seen for the last 3 years, people come and go. So the thoughts come and go. I will attend, thank you. I will not attend, thank you. These are also the thoughts. Thoughts come and go. Objects come and go. If no thoughts are there, consciousness is there, perception or knowledge is nothing but that consciousness. What is left is consciousness, and that consciousness is me. So this master explains that now let us know, if I am consciousness, what are the 4 or 5 traits and attributes of this consciousness? Because this consciousness remains the same in waking state, in deep sleep, in dream state. That is what we started covering in the very first few sessions. Consciousness is the same. Whether you have woken up today or 10 years ago, the consciousness is the same. Whether your mind says, I am in stress or I'm very happy. To see you weird guy, consciousness is the same. Understanding, only understand. What do you mean? I don't understand. I understand everything what you want to say. Then you are free. No? Then we are free. So let us pick up the 5 attributes of the consciousness. Correctly, first attributes. And pay attention with a reflection on this. Consciousness is not a part of thought. Are you clear? Consciousness is not a part of thought. It's not a part. If it is a part of thought and you say, I am stressed, then you will remain stressed throughout your life. Consciousness is not a part of thought. Second property, consciousness is not a property of thought. First, there is a consciousness, then there may be a thought or no thought. If consciousness is not there, forget about you may forget about any thoughts. So second, first is consciousness is not a part of the thought. Consciousness is not a property of thought. Third, consciousness is not a product of a thought. You told me that you all are seekers, so that's why I pick up this topic. We have to reflect on it. Master is passing on these thoughts to me. You see the master. Conscious is not a part of the thought. Consciousness is not a property of thought. Consciousness is not a product of thought. If that consciousness or the real self is a product of thought, then you remember who told, I think, therefore I am. How it is possible? At the time of the birth, you were not thinking, you existed. Consciousness is not a part of the thought, is not a property of thought, not a product of thought. What is the conclusion? Consciousness is always different from a thought. It cannot be limited by a thought. And the fifth, consciousness pervades the thought, independent of thought. Only when the consciousness associated with a thought or an object, it creates an experience. Leave that experience at a bay. You are only consciousness. You are the knower. You are the witness. You are the real self. When? All the time. Where? Everywhere. Here now also. Yes, here also. No, you are confusing me. I am Krishna. Krishna is a name. It is an object. No, I am stress. Stress is an object. It is a thought. Consciousness pervades the thought, independent of the thought. It creates an experience when the consciousness is associated with a thought, an object, and that creates a problem. I mix up the knower and the known. Consciousness is independent, free from the thoughts, objects, and also the perception. Are you looking at me? Yes. Deeper inside, are you not independent of your looking? I have to talk about the next verse, so I'm laying a foundation. This master also talks about thought is mind. Mind is matter. Thought cannot have a nature of consciousness. What are the natures of consciousness? Not a part of thought, not a property of thought, not a product of thought. It is different from the thought. It pervades the thought and independent of the thought. 5 characteristics, 5 attributes. You live with these 5 attributes, and you will see the stress cannot touch you, suffering cannot touch you. And if we are independent of thoughts, we are free. When? Here and now. Where? Everywhere. In what relationship? In all the relationship. We are free in time and the space. No, but I cherish many thoughts. I love my honey. Yes, I know that. I cherish my thought. What is that thought? I have a lot of stress. I carry the burden of stress. Do you see that? That's the beauty of these great masters. See that? The moment I see it, mind says mouse. How come the mind says mouse? My mind triggers with reference to an object, it has a thought. But behind that thought, there is a consciousness. Mouse thought pervades the consciousness, permeates the consciousness. That creates a perception that this is mouse, and I experience the mouse. And if consciousness is a part of the thought of mouse, no. Thought is inert, so consciousness is also inert. So it means if consciousness is inert, then we do not know anything. We do not have a knowledge. Not possible. Yeah, take another part, another example. I read a couple of articles. There is a God particle. Come on. If it is a particle, it cannot be God. How simple it is. And then you have hundreds of research papers. Our approach is very clear. Now, I'm not criticizing those scientists. They are great scientists. They are more famous. They create more ignorance. Why I said so, is consciousness a property of brain? That needs to be understood clearly. Brain is matter. It's a gray matter, we say, but the science says matter produces consciousness. This is how the dilemma. There are 2 or 3 schools in science which says more or less they have a statement that it is the matter that produces consciousness. Matter which is inert that produces consciousness. I have a wonderful friend who immigrated to Texas, and we used to discuss Mr. Jha. He says, he's a biochemist. He says, you have a thought when there is a neurons. When the neurotransmitter, not neurons, the neurotransmitter is a protein molecule. When that protein molecule jumps into the brain, then you have a thought. Oh, so that chemical becomes conscious of itself, and that's how you recognize the thought. What a silly conclusion. Consciousness is independent of the brain. So then every protein molecule is conscious. There is no need to discover real self. You change the protein molecule, you are happy. Huh? You change the protein molecule. So then protein molecules contributes to your happiness and unhappiness, stress and suffering. So then you go to the doctor and say, give me this protein molecule, I want to be happy. Remove this molecule from my honey. He or she has been creating a lot of problems. Come on. Sensible understanding should be there, but we continue to do the research and unnecessary. No, sorry, unnecessary, because they are scientists. So if the scientists say meditation is good, then it is good. No, with all humility, I'm saying. So consciousness is independent of the brain. Any object that I see, perceive, know, experience, consciousness is independent. It is not a part, not a property, not product. It is different from all the thoughts and objects, and it is present. It permeates. One Upanishad says, I'm quoting that Upanishad, what a beautiful, he says it is not the water, but it is in the water. It is in the body, but not the body. It is in the mind, not the mind. It is in the thought, not the thought. It is in the stress, but not the stress. Because it is in the stress, that's why I recognize I have a stress. Remove the consciousness, tell me where you are stressed. Are you getting it? Yes, I'm getting it. Close your eyes. Let us start. Eyes are closed.